Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Lakers will be playing for the 7th seed to play the Memphis Grizzlies in the play-in game on Tuesday. And I wanted to talk about what this matchup is going to be like and why, as a Timberwolves superior, I'm going to objectively and admittedly say that this is a very troublesome matchup for the Timberwolves. Talk about some of the points that are really trying from a Lakers perspective. This Lakers squad after the trade deadline and retooling of their roster are 16-7 after the All-Star break. Timberwolves have played them twice in that span and are 1-1. However, the game that they were victorious in, the Lakers did not have D'Lo or LeBron. Some commonalities in those two games: Anthony Davis had 38 points in each of them and was dominant, as he historically has been against the Timberwolves. Former Wolves Jared Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley were both really good in those two matchups against their former team. Then from the Timberwolves perspective, Mike Conley had good games in each of those, very clutch plays in our win, and then a big scoring night in our loss. Anthony Edwards, however, would not score the ball well in either game, largely in part to this guy, Jared Vanderbilt, who may guard Anthony Edwards better than anyone. So they've got a defensive stopper for our best offensive threat, and the Timberwolves are not going to have that available to them. Jaden McDaniels, when he played LeBron in the loss, played him extremely well. LeBron had an off shooting night, 7 of 19, and Jaden was stellar in that game. However, in the final game of the regular season just yesterday, he punched a wall and fractured his hand, so he will not be available the rest of the season. Rudy Gobert also punched a teammate, Kyle Anderson, who's been one of the best Timberwolves players all year, and he is serving a suspension, so he will not be in the game either to try to counter Anthony Davis. And although AD had those huge games against us, he was most docile when guarded by Gobert. When Gobert wasn't out there, there was like no stopping him at all. Gobert had some solid stretches against him, although admittedly, through the season, the weakest part of Gobert's defensive game has been guarding elite bigs and shutting down his matchup. Basically never happens. And you gotta remember, this is playoff LeBron that the Wolves are going to be going up against, and that's when you need like a generational defender like a young Kawhi, who Jaden McDaniels is the closest comp you're going to find in the NBA to that. That's someone you need, and now we'll have competent defenders in Taurean Prince and Kyle Anderson out there to guard him, but that's not the same as a generational talent on defense like Jaden. Also, with this Lakers squad, you kind of need all the perimeter defenders you can get because they have 4 offensive stud guards at this point now. Couple coming from the Timberwolves. D'Angelo Russell being the primary one, having a career year shooting the ball. Then Austin Reeves has made big improvements in shooting the basketball, playmaking, and ball handling. He's a serious threat now. Then there's Dennis Schroeder, who's been an offensive stud for a long time, and Malik Beasley, another former Timberwolf, who can light it up from 3, although he'll also give you a lot of games that are duds too. But they've got 4 guards that can easily give you 20 points on any night. On the flip side, the Timberwolves are coming into this game with extremely little depth. As I mentioned, Gobert and Jaden are out. There's 2 starters gone. The capable backup big man of Naz Reid all year, who's a starter caliber center, he's also out. So our front court bench, which is our strong suit, is getting moved into the starting lineup in Taurean Prince and Kyle Anderson. And we're not going to have a lot to back them up, and we're likely going to be stretched extremely thin, which is likely to be extremely problematic because of fouls. Timberwolves are one of the most frequent fouling teams in the NBA, and when you look at free throw differential, the Los Angeles Lakers by far get more free throws than their opponents. They have the top spot, and they lead the second highest team in free throw differential by hundreds of free throws. So the Wolves don't get to the line, the Lakers do. The Wolves foul a ton, the Lakers don't. Wolves don't have a lot of depth this game, Lakers do. You pick up a lot of fouls, you need depth. All of these elements in this equation are concerning. And the Timberwolves front court players especially are very foul prone, so it's a good reason we had so many good ones, but now we're missing 3. So Karl Anthony Towns, Kyle Anderson, Taurean Prince, they're going to have to bring some discipline on the defensive end, and that's something that you really can't expect out of Cat. He picks up a lot of silly fouls, and we need everything to kind of be perfect for this game to work out, and we need our stars to show up. Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, they're going to have to get through their defensive matchups, which are nightmarish in Jared Vanderbilt and Anthony Davis. It's about a worst-case scenario for trying to score on someone, and also a team defense that is great and one of the best in the NBA since the All-Star break. But if we want the win, they just have to power through it and be that good and overcome it, regardless of how difficult it is. Can't have an off shooting night from Anthony Edwards, which has been kind of the custom in all but maybe one of the last 8 games from him, as he's come back from an ankle injury. And Karl-Anthony Towns hasn't had the regular level of efficiency that he normally brings either. Gonna have to change if the Wolves want a chance, and they can't have the flat starts that have become very regular for this team as well. Gonna need incredible execution, shooting, and intensity through the entire duration of the game. Not something the Wolves have done maybe all year. So that's why I'm heavily leaning towards the Lakers winning this game. However, I'd always look at this team and I never put a ceiling on them because I would believe so much in Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards. I think that they are so great if they take the leap that they can go anywhere. Rest of the season, we only got one of those guys, Anthony Edwards, and he can carry us something. You never know what's going to happen in one game. This isn't a full series, but it's not looking as great. Gonna need a lot of things to go right. The other advantage that you could look for to kind of help the Wolves out is Mike Conley. He's been a good offensive threat lately. And the defensive weakness of this Lakers team is their guards. Feels like everything is kind of stacked against the Timberwolves in this matchup, but those are the games that they've been winning this year. It never makes sense. If they should win, they don't. If they shouldn't, that's when they pull them out a lot of times. So who knows with this team. One final suggestion to maybe get things rolling. Throw out Austin Rivers if you see Mo Bamba on the court. Let's get some tussling going. Try to pull Anthony Davis into the action. Get him out of the game. That might be our best shot. Not a likely win, but anything can happen. That's why you play the game.